told to establish this base where you could train a full Marine division. Okay? So just think about that. Think about what this place was like back then. None of the infrastructure was here. It was just nothing more than tobacco fields that have been acquired by the U.S. government. All right? So as we move throughout the day, the morning, we're going to go to different places and we're going to hear a little bit about the history. Okay, so we're going to stop every so often. I think we have 4 stops planned.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have some civilian Marines that are going to be moving out with us. Look out for each other, all right, as we move. Again, we're not looking to set any world speed records here. Really, it's about understanding the legacy and the history of Camp Lejeune as we move throughout the day, all right? Yes, sir. All right, let's form up and let's get after it.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Aye, sir. Back gun got it.
Wow. Can replace that easily. Hey, they're close to the dude.
Somebody's got to get it.
Start double time.
In World War II, okay, throughout his career and service in the Marine Corps, he was known, all right, born and raised in Ohio. He played football for The Ohio State University. And he heard the call to serve during the start of World War I. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps May 22nd of 1917. Okay, I say again, he enlisted in the Marine Corps. Within 1 year, he served as the acting first sergeant for the USS Vermont. I say again, 1 year later, due to his education and superior leadership, he earned the title as a first sergeant and was then commissioned as second lieutenant in July of 1918. So about a year later, upon his enlistment in the United States Marine Corps, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant. All right, serving abroad throughout the world, football was still in his mindset and in his heart. He then served from 1921 to 1924 on the United States Marine Corps football team. Colonel Gesher was killed in action during a mission in Guadalcanal. They were led to believe that there was a group of Japanese soldiers that were ready to surrender. They had poor nutrition, they were without food, and they were weak. But due to the circumstances, unfortunately, Noy's discipline had a lot to do with it. They were bombarded and Colonel Gesher was killed on that day, along with his entire group of Marines that were on that mission. From Colonel Gesher was his rank and insignia, and wristwatch that were taken from the body at that time before the Japanese soldiers could know that he was a commanding officer. This is one of the great Marines that have served in our Corps, and the reason being that this memorial is dedicated to him not only for his service in sports and representing the United States Marine Corps in football, but as well as his service to this country. And his heroic actions that day earned him the Legion of Merit with Valor for those actions. Start the construction of our base here at Camp Lejeune. All right, he was one of the Marine Corps' first aviators, so that's very important. For his service in establishing this base, he was awarded the Navy Distinguished Service Medal. All right. General Liversedge participated in the 1920s Olympics. He was awarded a bronze medal for shot put. Was awarded in 1943 during the New Georgia campaign.
You're like a mom.
You couldn't pass a PFT with a, you couldn't pass a PFT, you had that.
Walked along Holcomb Boulevard We just crossed the intersection of Julian C. Smith Road. So these are the two individuals here that those roads were named off of. Now, early on in his career, he commissioned as a second lieutenant. Then he came back stateside and served as the commanding general for the Fleet Marine Force schools here with his men on the beach. So, at great risk to his own life, division, and his actions at Tarawa were the pinnacle of his Marine Corps. 1905 to 1914, he served as an attaché to the embassy, the American embassy in China. And there he updated our amphibious doctrine, and he did it with an eye toward the Pacific, seeing the potential conflict that might be coming there with Japan. And when World War I broke out,
Great job, sir. Nailed it. Lean forward.
Later. I was like, and that's why I didn't want to be on the fight.
Yeah, I'm going.
A company, and I'm one of the OICs at your Corps Leading's IPAC. So why are we at this point here? So behind us right now, what was going on in 1942? War. World War II. The Women's Marine Corps Reserve schools. So they went through the training there over the course of the 3 years. They trained over 22,000, commanded by Colonel Arthur, but the reserve, the director, was a major. She eventually became a full bird colonel. The reserves went up to 1943, and they were set to expire in September 1943. And at the time, of the 22,000 that were trained here at Camp Lejeune, only 1,000 remained in the regular services. Rough. That concludes my
I don't have a plan, but that thing, when it goes down, it'll probably be
That's what my recruiter told me anyway.
Keep falling out.
Can you get fast job go?
yeah, that's
Oh, I know.
Yep, I'm sick.
Tuck the camera.
Each of you standing here today. He was born in 1884 in Pennsylvania and commissioned in the Marine Corps as a second lieutenant, and nights is going on in 1915. World War I is ramping up, right? So, they were riots, there were murders, there were attacks on the Marine detachment. They're actually being a detriment to the situation in Nicaragua. So, he became the commanding general of Camp Lejeune. Up until 1942, Lejeune was a training base. It was never meant to stick around. It was here to pump out Marines to the World War.
Marine Corps. The Marines, sailors, and civilian Marines aboard Camp Lejeune exemplified the highest levels of dedication required to provide support for the operating forces of 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force and United States Marine Operating Force.
Come on.
About why we're here, right? 75 years, understand a little bit more about the legacy of what you all do each and every day, right? Every day you're writing the next page, the next chapter of the legacy of Camp Lejeune, right? You're doing that no matter what billet you're in, okay? So keep up the great work. Again, this was a awesome day in my mind. I know Sergeant Major and I were just